That's smart. I think he has a very good shot of winning this one, especially because of that Orangaroo.
Yeah, Parallel City is very good in Alex's deck against these Zoark decks that rely on Skyfield to do that extra damage, so he's going to want to use that Parallel City, limit his opponent to a bench size of 3. We also see Alex, interestingly enough, plays one single copy of Dimension Valley. Could maybe pop out with a Trevish Tool Drop early on. That's probably a little better in other matchups, not as good in this one. It looks like we just see a Getsis on turn 1 from Alex, it looks like, I think. Just gets this thing away Russell's hand. I think he left Russell with nothing but that execute and the Getsis of his own.
Yeah, and Russell's start here is that Giratina promo, it looks like, and a Zorua. So he's got to hope that Alex draws a lot of trainers that he doesn't want to play. Otherwise, Russell is going to be in for a rough ride here. And actually, we don't see many trainers at all. And there's another trainer down. So Russell, he probably can tell he's not going to be playing too many cards this turn.
And something unfortunate for Alex here is it doesn't look like we see any energy card in his hand. Energy attachments are very important in this Drampagarb deck. It looks like Russell just right away is going to have to use that Getsis. Hits, it looks like 2 cards, so we'll get to draw a couple. Oh, and actually, Alex's only other supporter besides Getsis is In. So interestingly enough, he may be forced to play an In if he wants to draw cards. And it looks like Russell actually drew a Shaman off of the card from Getsis. So we might be able to set up and keep drawing some more cards. Maybe he wants to save that for next turn, but there's always the chance that Garbotoxin comes out.
I'm not sure if Russell is maybe counting something or asking Alex something, but, I think here you want to play that Shaman if he has it. To at least, maybe get another Zorua down. Looks like that's a Skyfield.
Yeah, going to go ahead and bench the Execute as well. Draws a full 6 cards off of this setup. We'll see what kind of cards he draws. Looks like a Compressor will get things going, getting rid of some of those Executes so they can use Propagation later on.
Yeah, maybe getting another supporter in the discard that isn't Getsis so that he can draw more consistently next turn. But he opts to actually just discard the Hex Maniac. It's an interesting discard this early on. Yeah, maybe he has another way to get a Zorua.
Yeah, I think, Hex Maniac isn't super great against Drampagarb. They're not a very ability-reliant deck, right? Like, they're relying on locking your opponent's abilities, and you lock your own abilities as well. So, Garbotoxin, once it comes out, Hex Maniac won't be a useful card. So I think Russell's just kind of ditching that card, saying, hey, I'm probably not going to need this at any point in the game. I'm just going to get rid of it for now.
Russell's eyeing that Shaman here, and I think that's actually a smart move. He's probably realizing Garbotoxin's going to be coming up very soon. I need to take advantage of this this setup ability as fast as I can before it gets shut off. So I like this play if he can burn some cards.
And this can potentially let him draw multiple ways to get more Zoruas in play. He does have those 2 Executes, so Zoruas and Ultra Balls are both outs to getting more in play.
Set up for 3 here. Let's see if he gets another Ultra Ball. He's thinking about something here. Looks like that's a Choice Band on the Shaman.
Russell did attach an energy to that Zorua. He has a Floatstone on his active. Do you think we could see a Paralyzing Gaze this turn come out from Zorua?
We could. I think if I'm Russell, I want to keep that Zorua on the bench, preserve the double colorless. I don't want to give Alex a chance to just Righteous Edge it off if I fail. So
definitely,
I think we'll just keep this active. And Alex replaces that Skyfield. And if I'm Alex here, I'm probably just going to end. It doesn't matter, disrupting him now, most likely.
Yeah. And looks like we do see Alex play that in. Each player will shuffle their hand into their deck, draw a number of cards equal to the amount of prize cards they have remaining. So each player getting 6. Alex is definitely going to want to find some energy attachments. That's a big thing he missed last turn, right? No energy in play, and that's so important for this Drampagarb Rotor deck.
Yeah. Russell was able to draw a lot of cards, but he only got 1 Zorua to show for it. So he's going to need to get another Zorua down as soon as possible. Hopefully he can use abilities next turn to get a Zork, but we'll see what Alex draws here off this 6.
Going to be looking for an energy card for sure. Could see a Big Wheel GX potentially this turn. Oh, I don't even see an energy card, Michael. That does not look good for Alex.
Yeah, this Pseudo-Udo is great, actually, for Alex. Russell does not have access to a bench now, and his field not really conducive to work with under a Pseudo-Udo lock. So, hopefully he can draw maybe a Hex and fill up a little bit more, but
I wouldn't be surprised if Russell found a double color synergy here. If we just saw him go for a Sky Return, it would clear up that bench spot. It would do a little bit of damage to this Drampa GX. He's already got a Choice Band on that Shaman, and so I think when he attached that Choice Band last turn, he was like, I'm going to Sky Return at some point here.
Yeah, he does have the double, so I think a Sky Return here is actually a very strong play. You also save the Choice Band, can use it next turn on Zork and save it from a possible Field Blower. And he opts to Hex. I like this play as well.
It lets him bench the Zorua this turn so he can get Zoark in play on the next turn. And yeah, we're going to see the Giratina come back to the active and a pass onto Alex's turn. He does have Acerola, so he can heal the damage off of this Drampa, but still no energy cards. Definitely a rough go here for Alex Smetana.
Yeah, Alex does Russell a favor and discards that egg for him with a parallel, and he Ultra Balls. I agree with you, though. I don't think you can afford to play the Acerola here. You need to start applying some pressure, get some energy down, you know, on a Trubbish or something.
Mm-hmm. It looks like he's playing an Ultra Ball. Won't be able to use any of his ability-based Pokemon like Shaman or Tapu Lele because of that Hexmaniac. Actually doesn't even play a copy of Shaman, so Lele won't be an out for him here, unfortunately, because of Russell's Hexmaniac, but can get another Trubbish in place, start setting up maybe for a Trash Lance later on.
I think he does have a Juniper in his hand, so he will be able to draw. Yeah, I think if he can get an energy, probably just attach it to a bench Trubbish, unless his hand is really bad and he has to big wheel here. He's got another Choice Band.
Going to go ahead and attach that to the Trubbish that can evolve this turn, and this is smart play. He wants to get Garbotoxin out, I think, as soon as possible. So by going ahead and putting that tool on that Trubbish, even though you'd rather it be a Floatstone, you just make it so that you're more likely to, you know, it's one less piece you need to get that Garbotoxin lock this turn.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we see that Dowsing Machine again in Alex's hand, but a pass from him.
No energy. He did have an Ultra Ball, could have maybe gotten Garbotoxin, but just not, maybe wanting to save that for something later on, and definitely rough for Alex. No energy cards on his first 3 turns.
Yeah. Russell now, he's got a chance to really capitalize on this. He's got a Skyfield in his hand. He's got a Hexmaniac in the discard, and there's no ability lock. So, you know, he has a chance to kind of solidify a board here and set that up. I think he can actually knock out this Drampa with the Choice Band in his hand, and a big Getsus from Russell.
Yeah, gonna draw him 2 cards. Actually, not that bad for Alex. He's still got in for the next turn. He's got other supporter options, but Russell, like you said, should be able to get the knockout here. Choice Band plus 1 more Pokemon in play would be enough with that Skyfield Stadium if he puts that out. Ultra Balls as well. Can actually even get another Zoroark GX or maybe another Zorua. We'll see what he grabs here with this. Looks like it'll be another Zoroark.
Smart, just setting up his board.
Yep,
a little bit more.
And we'll probably see Russell use that trade ability and try to see maybe I can draw another Zorua or another out to a Zorua like an Ultra Ball so that he can bench that as opposed to something like an Execute or a Shaman. Wants to have those in play as opposed to those other lower HP Pokemon. Trade comes out again. We see a Chorus, and I think a Choice Band was that next card.
Russell's got a lot of cards to work with here.
So many cards in that hand.
Not another basic, so if he wants this knockout, he will have to put an egg on the bench, which is unfortunate, but you know, maybe he can get that discarded later by utilizing Alex's Sudowoodo against him.
So we see the Choice Band going onto the bench Zoroark. Does go ahead and attach the double colorless to the other bench Zoroark. What do you think about that attachment there?
You know, I like that. Kind of spreads the energy around. It gives him options with Guzma later to kind of tag between 2 Zoroarks. Just gets the energy in play so he doesn't have to try and draw him later.
Yeah, and I think Russell also knows that a lot of these Drampa Garb decks do only play 2 copies of Drampa GX. Alex doesn't have a Floatstone in play right now, so there's a pretty good chance that his double colorless energy on his active Zoroark won't necessarily get Righteous Edged away. We actually see Russell played a red card there. It looks like there are 5 items in that discard pile. Russell saw off that Getsus that Alex had, you know, a couple of supporter options in his hand. Red card here can definitely limit that.
So if I'm Russell now, do you think maybe it was smarter to red card first and then Getsus and kind of trap Alex? Because it looks like a Getsus here on Alex's smaller hand would have been very powerful. But he opts to do it the other way. But he does take the knockout here on this Drampa.
Ooh, no, does not quite get the knockout. So
knockout.
He doesn't have that Skyfield, I guess, that we thought he had in his hand. Wasn't able to get the knockout. Does just short.
Interesting. So now he puts the Zoroark up in range. Ooh, and Alex responds with a Getsus of his own. Oh, he did not have that Skyfield.
Doesn't look like it. Does get rid of those 4 cards there for Russell. Alex will draw 4. And Russell's kind of left with a, you know, his hand's not that bad. He's got Choruses and stuff, but by Alex using Getsus this turn, that means he will not be able to Acerola, will not be able to heal this Drampa that's so heavily damaged. Does finally find an energy card. I know that's something he has been looking for.
He attaches 3 float stones down onto the board.
Just getting all those tools in play. It's kind of interesting. Sometimes you want to save those tools because you want to make sure that you have access to float stones for when field blowers come out. But maybe Alex wanting to bait out some field blowers here, make Russell play them. That adds more items to Russell's discard pile.
Russell trades away a Bridget. Obviously smart discarding cards he doesn't need anymore. Really, he's just looking for a double.
Yeah, Alex saw on Russell's hand he did not have a double color synergy when he played that Getsus, so Russell will need to find it on one of these top 4 or off of his supporter for the turn in order to attack this turn and just see if he can find it. It does have computer search as a potential out as well. See propagation trade once more. I don't see the double colors yet. He does have Chorus, so he can shuffle and draw a decent chunk of cards, but that might be what he has to do in order to try to find it.
Yeah. He's used both trades as well, so if he doesn't get it off the chorus, well, he does have Skyfield.
Finds it one turn too late.
Yeah.
See his Zorua come down.
It's good. He wants to see that. Oh, it looks like maybe he doesn't play chorus. He can just computer search for it, like we talked about. I think maybe saving the computer search could be useful for later. Maybe grab a crucial field blow or something. But at the same time, you need this knockout.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to take knockouts on these Drampas whenever you get the chance if you're Russell, the Zoroark deck in general. So it looks like we'll see Propagation 1, Propagation 2, and if there is that computer search in his hand, we'll probably see that come out for the double colorless energy. Yep.
He does discard those 2 eggs, and he will take a double colorless. Almost certainly.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the play there. He could have, maybe if he has like 1 puzzle of time in his hand, he could have gotten a second puzzle of time and used that to get back the double colorless and maybe another important resource, but also kind of wants to conserve those puzzles for later on in the game. But at the same time, honestly, not as important of a resource as in Russell's version of Zoroark. Since he does have a Rangaroo, he can usually get back those puzzles, get back those double colorless energies. And also something interesting enough, Russell can use a Rangaroo's attack to put 3 cards back from his discard pile, and he can put 3 items back into the deck to reduce the damage that Trashalanche does on Alex Smetana's side.
Yeah, Russell's already played one of the most important trainers in the deck, Computer Search, so being able to reuse Computer Search, especially without having to use those puzzles, is insanely valuable for Russell. So he's going to be able to take a knockout here on this Drampa, just deciding if he wants to do anything else, but looks like he just chooses to ride his beating and take that thing down.
Going to be a knockout this time. Turn later than he would have liked it, but I think Russell's definitely still happy taking that KO.
Yeah.
There's a field blower from Alex Smetana. Gonna put 2 more items in Russell's discard pile, a Parallel City as well. Russell has to discard a Pokemon. Looks like he's gonna discard that Shaman. And Alex is playing pretty quick here, actually using that Teammates. Going to get him any 2 cards. Looks like he's eyeing up just a Drampa and an energy card. Just going to use Righteous Edge and get rid of Russell's energy.
Yeah. If he's got a Garbodor to follow up with this as well, very powerful swing turn for Alex. He can kind of seize control of the game again. And hopefully Russell won't be able to draw out of it. But, it's smart discarding that Shaman on Russell's side. He realizes he's got a bunch of items in there, so he doesn't want to target for Trashalanche to take an easy 2 prizes.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand. Russell was kind of debating, I think, between discarding Giratina and discarding the Shaman. Shaman can use Sky Return. He can get that off the board, but this Giratina is going to be kind of stuck here. It's not a Pokemon he really wants in play in this matchup, but looks like we're going to just see a Righteous Edge, putting that Zoroark up to 70 damage. And DCE gets discarded once again.
He did not get a Garbotoxin in play, though, so Russell has free reign with these trades. So it is very possible. Russell's got all the resources in his discard that he needs for a huge, Hex Maniac ride his beating turn. So we'll see if he'll be able to pull that off. That's what he needs to do this turn.
Is there 80 damage on that active Zoroark? I think it should just be 70. I can't tell. It looks like that is a 2 on that second dice. So I think there should just be 70 damage on that Zoroark, not 80. We'll see if we can get that fixed real fast.
Yeah, you're right, because there's a choice band.
Yeah, Drampa didn't have choice band. The last one did, though, so Alex did 50, then he did 20, so there should be 70 damage. Should be a pretty quick fix.
Yeah.
Just make sure we get that damage adjusted just right. Yeah, simple enough, and looks like they caught it. Able to get it fixed, and we should be good to go. So
Russell's got quite a few cards to work with here. I think I'd see another Skyfield in there. He's almost certainly got some sort of search card. Maybe he's got double puzzles as well. He trades the first one.
yeah, this could be a big turn from Russell Lepar if he can find another double colorless energy and a choice band. Maybe he could fill his bench up and do what he needs to do to get a knockout on this Drampa GX. That would be huge since Alex does not have that Garbotoxin Garbodor. Russell's just been able to look at this massive hand size. This is not what you want to see from a Zoroark player if you're playing Drampa Garb.
And Russell does have the double puzzles at the front of his hand, eyeing them up. I think here if you're Russell, you want to take a double for sure because you don't have one. And then maybe a choice band. Just guarantee. I think he's got a VS Seeker in his hand as well. He's got all the Pokemon he needs with those eggs in the discard.
Looks like he's eyeing up Computer Search, which is great. He can reuse any of those. He can use that to get anything else out of his deck that he needs. And maybe needs that to get like the Hex Maniac or get a VS Seeker for the Hex Maniac. But
sure.
If we look over there, Russell has a lot of item cards in his discard pile at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Those numbers keep ticking up. Fortunately, Zoroark is resistant to Psychic types, so Trash Lynch will have to do, he'll need one more item to get there, but, it's getting pretty close to the point where resistance isn't going to matter, especially with Choice Band. But Russell realizes, he's got to take these prizes fast now, and then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, if Russell can go down to just 2 prizes left, it won't really matter how much Trashalanche is doing almost. If Russell can just have like a really strong Guzma play maybe on that Lele. But with that Sudowoodo out, it might be harder to pull something like that off.
Yeah, Sudowoodo unfortunately caps Russell's damage at 100, which means that Trashalanche would survive a hit from Zoroark if Russell doesn't do something to boost the damage, like with a Hex Maniac. But Russell's counting up those items. Yep. It looks like there are 11 items, so Garbodor will have a field day with any of these Zoroarks.
Actually, Garbodor would need a Choice Band to get a knockout on a clean Zoroark, but Russell's active Zoroark is pretty heavily damaged at this point, so it should be able to knock this one out pretty easily. But the next Zoroark, if Russell's able to avoid playing any more items, Alex will need a Choice Band if he wants to get that Trashalanche knockout.
Russell triple propagates here. We see that Oranguru in his hand. That is Russell's boy.
Yep.
And he's just kind of making sure he's got everything he needs to pull off this huge swing.
Yeah, it looks like he will have to play VS Seeker to get the Hex Maniac back in order to get around that roadblock ability, and that is that extra item that Alex needed to see. That puts it up to, actually 13 now at this point, so more than enough items for Garbodor to come in and start taking knockouts on clean Zoroark GXs.
Yeah, fortunately for Russell, he doesn't have to use the Choice Band now, so he can save that to use on maybe a Lele later. He can attach it to the bench, get an item out of his hand, but still, conserve it. And we're just going to see this huge burst from Zoroark.
And I think we'll probably see Russell try to thin his hand out a lot as well. He doesn't want to, draw any of these bad cards off of something like that. So doesn't need to bench one more Pokemon. Debating between Shaman and Tapu Lele.
If I'm Russell here, I think I want to bench this Shaman. Get that discarded, because when Roadblock reactivates, he can pitch those eggs in the Shaman, which is a very weak thing. Use the Lele to find a Guzma maybe later to seal the game. And he does take that big knockout.
Here we go, over to Alex's side. It could be a big in here. Alex still drawing 6 cards off of this, and this is where Drampa Garb can really thrive if you limit your opponent's hand, get that Garbotoxin lock in play, and if Alex can also find his Rescue Stretcher and Energy card, use Righteous Edge, get rid of this Energy card, or even just a Garbodor and a Psychic Energy, can take a knockout with Trashalanche.
Yeah, unfortunately though, because Alex has kind of struggled to set up this end, he will need quite a few cards. He needs energy, he needs an attacker, Garbotoxin as well.
Lots of cards.
He's got to hope he's got something here. We see an Ultra Ball.
Ooh, Trashalanche as well. Oh, and Alex going to scoop it up, does not get the cards he needs. Alex Smetana is going to concede this first game. Russell Lepar winning game 1 of this set.
Yeah, I don't think he got an energy, and I think that's why he conceded immediately, because he realized there was, no way he was going to come back.
Yeah, Russell did win that first game, and we're going to move on to game 2. I think just looking back at that game, the big story coming out of it is just those first 3 turns where Alex just was not able to get set up, got no energies in play. Never saw a Garbodor come into play. Trashalanche or Garbotoxin, neither one hit the field.
Yeah, and that's something that's always kind of plagued Drampa Garb throughout its existence. It's this super powerful deck that can really control the game, but sometimes it's just a little too clunky. We saw there that Alex just could never really get energy to start attacking, and Russell was able to take advantage of that.
And he does only play 9 energy cards. We usually see these Drampa Garbs trying to play like between 10 and 11 energy, sometimes even. So 9, maybe getting a little greedy to make space for more, useful cards in specific matchups in Alex's deck, but unfortunately, wasn't able to find the energies in this game.
Yeah, Russell never had to use the Oranguru in that game as well. He was able to kind of just take control of the game quickly and keep control of it. But, do you think that either player needs to change how they played it, or you think they played it well?
I think they both played pretty smart. There was one turn, I think, in the middle where Alex chose to go for a teammates to guarantee the Drampa plus energy. Maybe if that turn he could have gone for an N, tried to limit Russell's hand size. And, you do have to draw pretty well off of that N, but maybe that is, just a more winning strategy, right? Trying to see if you hit that. The Drampa Garb is a come-from-behind type of deck. So maybe Alex will try to utilize in a little more effectively. We didn't really see it come out and affect Russell's hand size until that last turn, and it was too late for Alex at that point in the game.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm Alex here, hopefully I'm drawing more energy this game.
Absolutely.
But most importantly, I think getting that Garbotoxin online as soon as possible is going to be, essential to staying on top of Russell. Looks like Russell has another Giratina promo start.
Oh, man.
Not what he wants to see, but, at least Giratina promo won't get knocked out for a couple turns.
Yeah, definitely. 130 HP on a basic is a lot. So, especially with Drampa Garb. Drampa Garb is not a deck that puts on a ton of pressure, honestly. Looking over to Alex's side, he does have, I think, a Bridget in his hand, so he will be able to get set up, getting a couple Trebuchets in play, and probably a Drampa GX.
Yeah, Alex starts Lele, which lowers his chance of getting a turn 1 Bridget, but he decides to just open with it raw anyway. And he will grab a Sudowoodo, Trubbish, and Drampa. I like this right away. Getting that Pseudodon immediately really limits what Russell can do with these Shaman on the first turn.
Absolutely. And the big thing here, I think, to follow up this Bridget is going to be, does Alex Smetana have an energy card to attach? I don't see one just yet.
Brutal.
That is definitely unfortunate. Hopefully he can find one next turn to start Righteous Edging. Gressel going to go ahead and hit him with the Getsis. Just one item card. A handful of supporters on Alex's side.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for Russell. Probably was hoping maybe he could get 1 or 2. I don't see a way to get another basic. Don't see an Ultra Ball or anything in there, so this is not a good start for Russell. And he just passes.
No other basics. No Zorua in play turn 1 for Russell Lepar. Not a good start on his side of the field. Alex is going to continue his setup here, probably just getting another Trubbish in play. No, actually going to go ahead and just get that Garbotoxin Garbodor. If he can get a tool card in play and start attacking with maybe even this Tapu Lele, even if he starts putting pressure on with Energy Drive, getting that tool on Garbodor shuts off so many of Russell's potential top deck outs. Alex could take this game pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you'll see, this Garbotoxin lock is so powerful, and Alex realizes that he doesn't need to do anything else. Even if he doesn't get an energy, getting the Garbotoxin lock is essential here. Doesn't get that, but he does get an energy to start putting pressure on. But this, Russell is thankful to get at least one more turn of abilities.
Yeah, does get a Shaman EX, so he can bench that if he's worried about getting knocked out next turn. Looks like red card going to come out and put Alex down to 4 cards. And, it's okay to have a little slower start against Drampa Garb as the Zoroark player. Drampa's not, like I said, a deck that puts on a ton of pressure early on in the game. So you can kind of just chill, take it back, and, just play your own game. Make sure you get yourself set up, even if it's a little slower than normal.
Yeah, but it does not look like Russell has anything to work with, and he does it again.
Wow.
I think he has a Shaman in his hand, so he's just trying to burn any card he can to get down to at least draw something with Shaman, get something going.
You can see Russell laughing right now. He just making Alex shuffle his hand in, drawing 4 cards. He's like, did you get good cards? Nope. Okay, we're gonna red card you again.
Yeah. These red cards, not too useful for Russell, and they're also putting items into his discard, but Alex doesn't have another Trubbish to take advantage of it yet. I think Russell's got a Skyfield to play. He's got an Egg, and he opts to VS Seeker for Getsis, and he plays a Getsis again. So that's actually huge.
And only 1 Psychic Energy being the only card in Alex Smetana's hand. He can still retreat his Lele into Drampa GX and use Big Wheel to get out of this, potential bad hand situation, but that might be what he has to do depending on what he top decks.
And that might give Russell actually just another turn of abilities. He benches the Egg just to make sure he doesn't get, benched out here, but Russell still.
Oh, no Zorua, it doesn't look like yet.
This is ugly.
Not what you want to see on Russell's side. You know, it's worth noting as well, I think both of these guys are from the East Coast, from like the Virginia area. So these guys are definitely familiar with each other. They've played each other at League Cups. So I'm sure there's some friendly banter going on between these two guys. Definitely familiar with one another.
So Russell uses Puzzle of Time's first effect to manipulate the top 3 cards of the deck. You know, that is not an effect you want to use, but the cards he puts there, none of those 3 cards are an out to an Ultra Ball. And so even if Russell is able to use setup to draw a couple of cards, he needs to draw, you know, 3 or 4 cards to try and find an Ultra Ball. And Alex just
right away
big wheels.
Flips over that GX counter as fast as he can. He's like, I'm not going to deal with this 1 card hand with just that Psychic Energy. We're going to big wheel getting 10 cards. And, you know, it doesn't look like Russell's going to be able to respond to this. He's already played 2 red cards. Maybe Russell now is wishing that he held on to one of those 2.
Yeah, definitely. Russell's hand is just abysmal. He doesn't really have anything to go off of here. Looks like there's a Guzma in his hand, so he could at least maybe, I don't know, pull up a Sudowoodo or something and Sky Return or...
Yeah, just do like some sort of chip damage, even maybe bringing up Tapu Lele. If he has a choice band, he can do 60 damage to it, and that means that he can maybe knock it out with an additional Guzma later in the game. So that could be an option for Russell. Alex, of course, does play the Acerolas, so he can use that to his advantage and take that damaged Pokemon out of play potentially, but maybe that's something Russell might try to set up.
Russell is eyeing the Guzma right now, and he's pulling up that Sudowoodo, and he's switching into the Egg. You know, maybe he wants...
to use setup, I guess, just to draw more cards at this point.
Yeah, it could be. And he does set up, and he draws 2. And we do see that Shaman there as well, so he actually will be able to draw a couple cards here. Needs to find an Ultra Ball.
Ooh, he does find an Ultra Ball. Looks like he did find one finally, so he can use that. Find a Tapu Lele to find a supporter, but he does have a bench of 4 now, and with that roadblock in play, won't be able to bench a Zorua.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just see him Ultra Ball for a Zorua, honestly.
Let's see what he discards. There's a Hex Maniac. That's fine to discard. Might have to discard a Zork. You know, not what he wants to do, but he doesn't have any Zorua anyway. So, he has to go for the Lele. You know, I think this is fine. You know, 1 Zorua is not going to do anything. If Alex has, say, a double colorless and a Guzma off of his big wheel, the Zorua won't matter anyway. It'll get knocked out immediately. So, Russell is saying, you know, I'll just wait another turn, and eventually I'll get the Zorua down.
It's kind of interesting looking back at Alex's last turn. He chose to put the choice bands that he top decked for the turn on the Drampa GX. Could have put that on that Garbotoxin Garbodor and tried to take away Russell's abilities, and that could have taken away some of these top deck outs. But, you know, looks like he just wanted to get that on to the Drampa GX so that he could do more damage with Righteous Edge later on in the game, which I can totally understand.
Yeah, so Russell retreats into the other Shaman without the double that he attached. Kind of an interesting play. You know, I'm not sure why he didn't Sky Return and clear up a bench spot. Maybe he thinks that it won't get knocked out here. But this Drampa Berserk will do a clean 110 damage with that choice band, which will knock out this Shaman. So
exactly what Alex needs.
I'm not really sure what Russell was thinking with that Shaman retreat, but, you know, maybe he knows something we don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Russell, definitely a very smart player, so we'll have to leave it up to him to make these kind of plays. And it looks like we're just going to see Alex follow up with an N. At this point, he knows that Russell has that Colress in his hand, so going to just shuffle that away and maybe stick Russell with another bad hand.
Yeah. The most important thing here, though, is if Alex knocks out the Shaman, Russell finally has a couple of bench spaces to work with, especially given the fact that he's going to be able to Sky Return that new Shaman. So finally he can get something set up and going. You know, maybe if he ends here, can slow Alex down a little bit, and finally, you know, actually start playing Pokemon in this game.
Yeah, definitely been a bad game so far for Russell Lepar, but Zoroark is such a powerful deck. I don't think he's necessarily quite out of it yet, even though it's definitely looking bleak. We do see Alex get that Trubbish down on the bench, retreat that Sudowoodo, and we'll just see a Berserk here doing 110 damage. You know, Berserk does more damage based on, you know, damage on your bench, but Alex doesn't need that extra damage thanks to Choice Band. Base damage of 80 plus 30 from Choice Band. That's 110 to knock out the Shaman.
So Russell does have a couple Ultra Balls in his hand here. Will be able to get at least a Zorua. You know, maybe he wants to Ultra Ball for a... Oh, he opts to Bridget. Yeah, which I think is fine. Getting double Zorua down Gives you something to do.
Yeah, can actually get 3 Zorua down because of the Garbotoxin in play. Oh no, with the Parallel City in play, actually only has the 1 bench spot. So because of Garbotoxin, Roadblock is turned off, but that doesn't matter if there's a Parallel City out.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to Sky Return, at least clear up a bench spot for another Zorua as well. You know, maybe he's hoping this egg finally gets knocked out. Alex does him a favor, but he puts up the Lele. So if Alex actually gets his 1 copy of Rainbow Energy and attaches it to, say, that Trubbish on the bench, he'll be able to use Berserk and knock out this Lele. Doesn't have it, but this is still fine. He's setting up for multiple Drampas to carry him throughout this whole game, and Russell is not doing anything, so...
I think Alex here, if he can find like a Guzma, would like to use that, maybe knock out the Zorua on the bench, but no, just going to go ahead and hit Berserk for 110 damage on the Tapu Lele.
And so Russell used Sky Return last turn for 60 with that Choice Band on the Shaman, so he has Choice Band double in his hand, which will be able to actually knock out this Drampa with Energy Drive, which is huge. Being able to take a prize without having to use a Zoroark, I think, is something that Russell desperately needs. He needs to get more Zoroark down, and he needs to find a Field Blower to start using Trade.
Yeah. So it looks like a little bit of a discussion kind of going on here. Looks like everything is okay, though. I don't think anything has happened.
And Russell
Energy
gets
Drive.
that knockout with Energy Drive. Big knockout, gets on the board. Hopefully he can find a supporter to get a Field Blower, or maybe a computer search or something.
Yeah, and if you're Alex Smetana here, you might want to just go in with the other Drampa, take the knockout on Lele, and maybe if you can combine that with an end this turn, limit Russell's hand size a little bit. No, looks like he's going to opt to maybe attack with his own Lele, which would be enough to take the knockout here, actually, with his own Energy Drive.
Yeah, and the thing is with Zoroark, Russell only has 1 Zoroark in play, but thanks to Shaman, Russell, he'll need a little bit here, but he does have the ability to knock out this Lele as a response if he can find like a Field Blower or something like that. So he's definitely still not out of it, but he's going to need a lot of help here. Alex grabs a Trash Avalanche to get ready to start using, or a Garbodor to start using Trash Avalanche.
And something kind of interesting, Alex's setup has been so poor that Russell's setup has been so poor that he subsequently hasn't played a lot of item cards, so Trash Avalanche not going to be doing too much yet. Alex is going to hit Russell with that in, though, limit him to a low hand size at the same time, taking 2 prizes, and at the end of this turn, Alex Smetana will only have 2 prizes remaining.
Yeah, sometimes in these games where you're Russell and you're drawing so poor, getting into 4 almost seems like a godsend because it's like, finally, my hand gets to be reset. Maybe I can get something off of this into 4 and clear out some of the junk in his hand.
So these players will each draw 4 apiece, both at 4 prize cards, tied on prizes, but I think Alex definitely has the board position at this point. Does have that 1 copy of Rainbow Energy. That could come into effect later on.
We see a VS Seeker in Russell's hand and a knockout from Alex's side on that Tapu Lele.
Yeah, Energy Drive will be doing enough to deal knockout to that damaged Tapu Lele. Looks like Alex just debating what else he wants to use. Field Blowers away the Floatstone on the benched Execute, limiting a little bit of Russell's mobility, and I really think that's pretty smart from Alex's side.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure Russell needs to really reach now to do anything this turn. And Russell has a lone puzzle in his hand. He opts to play it.
Not looking good.
Not
Does
looking
get to put
good.
a Chorus to the top, but
this is ugly.
Honestly, if you're Russell at this point, are you thinking about conceding after getting nothing off of that end?
I think you absolutely need to, especially after using that puzzle and not really finding anything. You got to understand that there's probably not much time left. Zoroark's a pretty fast deck when it gets going, so he can take prizes quick. But I think he needs to think about packing this one up here.
Yeah, we're just going to see the Getsis come out from Alex, adding a little bit of insult to injury, revealing Russell's hand of just a Mr. Mime and a Skyfield. Not much of anything going on. Does not have access to trade thanks to the Garbotoxin Garbodor. We'll have to see if Russell, he put a supporter on top thanks to Puzzle of Time, but then Alex just shuffled that away, so now that's not going to be an option for Russell this turn.
Yeah, and Russell's smart. I think if he draws something and it's not a miracle, he's conceding.
It is an Ultra Ball. Yeah.
And he does concede.
Ultra Ball not going to be enough. Can't use any of his ability base to draw cards because of Garbotoxin and We have a decent amount of time, 16 or 17 minutes, I think, for game number 3, so could potentially be enough to finish a game 3.
Yeah, it looks like it was kind of the inverse of game 1. That game, Alex was able to find energy, was able to set up his lock, and Russell just totally bricked, even without Alex really doing much in the first couple of turns. So Russell, he's hoping for a much better start, maybe get some Zorua down before. I think it was turn 4 when the first Zorua hit the board. Now what you want to see.
Yeah, something actually kind of interesting here. I was just noticing about the deck lists that we have from these players. You can see actually when the deck lists were submitted, and Russell submitted his, kind of late at night on Saturday, or late at night on Friday, after midnight, doing a lot of testing through the night. Alex, submitted his a little bit earlier in the day Friday. He felt pretty confident in this deck coming in, so didn't really felt like he needed to do a lot of, more thinking about the deck coming into the tournament, and was just confident with his choice and just submitted his deck, was good to go.
Yeah, it is well known in Pokemon that sometimes those very late deck night decisions, those 3 a.m. deck choices, end up paying off very well. For both of these players, day 2, nothing to scoff at, and plenty of time left, and I think it's anybody's game here in game 3.
Yeah, absolutely, and both of these players are experienced. Like we mentioned earlier, they are friends with one another. They're definitely familiar with one another from being from the same area. Both of these guys have multiple day 2s under their belt as well at regional championships, so definitely very familiar with the competitive Pokemon scene. Not feeling the pressure that some of these players can definitely feel at some point.
Yeah, definitely. They are just about getting ready to set up here. Do you think either player needs to do anything different in that game, or in the third game after seeing game 2, or think they played it well?
I think Russell's strategy really needs to be to get more than one Zoroark GX in play. He only saw one that whole second game, and that is really just not what you want to do if you're Zoroark GX. So that's really going to be big here. What does each player draw? How does their setup look? And we'll just have to see what these opening hands look like.
Yeah, Russell hoping to not start Giratina promo for a third time.
Oh, man. Couldn't see what it was. Was it a purple card? Not quite sure. Setting out their 6 prize cards.
They shake hands, and we are going to game 3. Starts as Zorua. That's already better than last game.
Yep.
And also starts with a compressor. He's going to put those eggs in there most likely. Maybe a supporter as well. If he's got VS Seeker, he could put Bridget in there and just immediately fill the board with Zoruas. But things are looking much better for Russell.
Oh, yeah. Battle Compressor is one of the best cards to see in your opening hand, honestly. Love having access to that early in the game. Just really thins out cards that are not good for specific matchups, but also lets those execute hit the discard pile super early on, which is what's really important to use that propagation ability.
And he does put that Bridget in there. Plays a second compressor.
Ooh.
Putting a couple items in there very quickly, but, he understands that I just want to thin the deck. I want to get this junk out of there, get other supporters in there. And make sure that, Garbotoxin won't hurt me later in the game.
Absolutely. So with the second compressor, looks like we're seeing a Hexamaniac hit the discard pile. One other card, looks like another Bridget. Not going to need more than one Bridget, most likely in the game, and as well as his third execute. VS Seeker grabs the Bridget, and solid first turn from Russell.
Yeah, notice he takes the full art Bridget there. Kind of wants to style on Alex a little bit.
There you go.
I think he's just going to take triple Zorua here. He doesn't really need any other Pokemon. Roadblock isn't going to do anything against Alex. And so even if he gets paralleled, this is the ideal board under a parallel City Lock.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually gets to Ultra Ball, can maybe go for a Shaman EX, try to get a little bit more of a setup here. He knows that he's going to at least have one more turn of abilities after this turn, because Alex won't be able to evolve on his first turn. So by getting 4 Zoruas in play on turn number 1, we could see up to 4 trades on Russell's next turn, which is huge.
Definitely. I think in this situation, he understands there's probably not a lot of time left, so he needs to be as aggressive as possible in his setup. He can't really afford to play it slow.
Yeah.
If he gets the Zoroark, even though he's played a lot of items so far, if he gets the Zoroark, it doesn't matter. It's got resistance. Trash Lunch won't be able to knock it out. Gets that Oranguru down. That is Russell's bread and butter.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
He will pass with a choice band.
And we do see that Parallel City in Alex's hand. Going to just play that down immediately. Force Russell to discard 2 cards. Pretty easy choice if you ask me. Oranguru and Shaman hit the discard pile.
It's got to hurt Russell a little bit.
Yeah, hates to see his boy go down.
Definitely.
But
Alex does not look like he has anything in his hand.
Ooh.
Double VS Seeker, Giratina promo. Oh, he has Sycamore, but that's kind of an ugly Sycamore.
Definitely.
Or Juniper, sorry. You don't want to see that. Yeah. If it was Sycamore, it would have been a better hand.
So we see him discard 2 via Seeker. Definitely unfortunate to see those go down. You want to have access to those later on in the game. So good at finding things like teammates when you need it, getting an N to put your opponent to a low hand size, N being so important in this specific matchup. We actually see an Ultra Ball come out, maybe wanting to get a Drampa in play, but at the cost of discarding a Garbotox Garbodor. That is a little ugly.
And a Dimension Valley as well. You know, Dimension Valley is not going to be too useful for Alex in this matchup for attacking purposes, but it will knock out Skyfields, which is what he wants to do. But, you know, another thing I see is no energy from Alex again on the first turn. I don't think he has had an energy on the first turn in any of these games.
Not at all. You saw him kind of pushing those DCEs to the side while he was looking through his deck, counting how many were in there. He has them in there, just not able to draw them, unfortunately. Got a feel for Alex Smetana.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is great for Russell. You know, he sees one Garbotoxin is already down. So if he just targets, you know, if he targets this Trubbish, then Alex has to choose between trying to lock abilities or have access to Trash Lanch. And that's a position that Russell wants to put Alex into.
Yeah, if he can only keep one Trubbish in play, that is definitely really solid for Russell. Alex going to go ahead and use Tapu Lele, finding a Chorus. This is smart. Russell could potentially try to lock Alex with like a Hex Maniac on the next turn. So going to go ahead and play around that potential.
Definitely. Russell draws again. You know, the Parallel City is unfortunate, but Russell does not care. This is, you know, the perfect Parallel City board. He's going to have, it looks like 2 Zoroark in play at a minimum, and he can knock out this Trubbish anyway under this Parallel City.
Russell's playing very fast. He recognizes the game. He knows we're in game 3. He knows that there's not a lot of time left, wanting to finish this game if he can. Sees that Alex's start wasn't the best and had to discard some important resources, so maybe trying to push his advantage here and try to take a KO here on the Trubbish.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like he'll trade once, draw
trade
2.
A second time. Does find the DCE.
That's good. That's all he needs here. You know, a third Zoroark would be great, but it looks like he has a Chorus in his hand as well, so even if Garbotoxin comes down, he will have draw next turn, and the important thing here is he is taking a knockout.
He does have a Skyfield in his hand. He could play that to get some more Pokemon on his bench, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we saw him, well, no, he's going to go ahead and play it. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw him shuffle it in with Chorus, save that for later to maybe try to get a knockout on Drampa, but maybe he wants to just get some more Pokemon in play this turn.
Sure. You know, I guess maybe he's thinking he sees Alex discarding the Dimension Valley as well, so he's thinking, you know, maybe he can get on top of the stadium count here and just keep Skyfield in play for the whole game, but
you know, maybe Russell's just wanting to thin that card out of his deck, not wanting it to draw it immediately. Wants to draw, maybe have higher odds to draw another Zoroark GX or something like that.
Yeah, also puts it in the discard for a puzzle target a little bit later for a big turn. Alex sends up the Drampa, obviously has another Parallel City. Not something Russell wants to see, but no energy, so he's going to need to get one off of this Chorus. If he plays it, he's using Tapu Lele, maybe grabbing a Teammates here to guarantee an energy. Looks like he's eyeing it, I think.
Yeah, Teammates could get him that energy, maybe get him an N for the next turn as well. So, no, eyeing up the Teammates or the N here, kind of debating what he wants to do. I don't hate going for Teammates, getting the energy to discard with the Drampa, and then maybe getting an N for the next turn so that if Russell does pop off, get the knockout, you can N. But nope, going to go ahead and just choose to play in here.
You know, and I think that's fine if he can get a Garbotoxin to follow this up, but, you know, Alex this seems kind of like shades of the first game here. He suddenly needs to get a bunch of cards off of every draw supporter he plays, and this is the position that Russell, you know, that Drampa Garb, when it falls behind like this, it's very stressed to come back into the game.
Yeah. Definitely, at minimum, going to want to see an energy card here. Would love to see another Trubbish here. Looks like he did find one, but no energies, though. Oh, no. Won't be able to rush this.
Brutal.
Just a pass.
And Russell that is what he wants to see.
No ability lock either, so if Russell can really just pop off with these trades and potentially get a Hex Maniac and get a full bench with a Skyfield and knock out this Drampa GX on Alex's side and go down to just 3 prizes left. Russell's playing pretty quick here.
He plays a Sudowoodo down
Russell
under Parallel.
Russell can't play that Sudowoodo because of the Parallel City. Russell can't play that. We're going to get it fixed real fast. Should be pretty easily fixed. Not a big deal right now. Yeah, just puts the Lele back on the bench. So quick fix. That is okay.
Yeah, so Russell doesn't get, you know, he's not done, actually. He's got double puzzle. Grabs Skyfield. That's a smart play. Maybe he realized why I was there. And he can grab Hex Maniac. And I think, actually, he will have enough Pokemon to knock out this Drampa here.
This is a big turn from Russell. Russell, I think, knew he was going to do that at some point this turn. Maybe just got a little ahead of himself by benching the Sudowoodo early, but a quickly fixable, little mistake there. So no harm, no foul.
He does have another Ultra Ball in his hand. Counting the trainers, he could grab a 4th Zork if he wants.
Wow.
Double propagates. I think he's going for it. Just wants all 4 Zork in play. He says, get a Garbotoxin or you will lose this game. But it looks like maybe that 4th Zork GX is prized.
Oh,
so he takes an Oricari. This is fine. Just another basic Pokemon.
Absolutely.
And I think this is actually enough basic Pokemon with the Mime in his hand that he won't even need to drop any eggs onto the bench, which is always a good thing for Zoroark.
And honestly, I think it's kind of okay. I think you'd rather keep basic Pokemon in your deck for later on so that you might, be able to get the eggs back. But actually, Hex Maniac before using the eggs, so we'll probably see him bench those Pokemon that aren't Execute.
This is big for Russell. That is enough to knock out, I believe.
He needs one more basic Pokemon.
I maybe would have played. Oh, I guess you can't play the. Well, no, you can't play the Lele.
Oh no, actually doesn't need one more basic Pokemon because of the Choice Band. Will be enough. Does 190 to knock out the Drampa. So not needing to use any of those eggs, like you mentioned.
So he will ride his beating here.
190
take out this Drampa, and there's under 5 minutes left, but Russell is really closing in on the end of the game here. Alex is not doing anything, and he's going to need to start drawing, some pretty good hands here.
We do see an N in his hand. Also had the teammates, but just choosing to go with that N, wanting to limit Russell's hand size. He's going to need to draw the perfect combination of 6 cards off of this hand.
I think he's going to need, a Drampa, an Energy, and a Garbotoxin. If he can get at least those 3, maybe he can establish control for a turn at least, buy some time. But this game is 100% in, Russell is 100% in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, and interesting enough, if since Russell played Hex Maniac last turn, if Alex does get the Garbotoxin in play, Russell actually won't have to discard his benched Pokemon because Roadblock won't reactivate. Russell will keep all of those benched Pokemon in play, so Alex, I think, would really love to find...
And Alex concedes!
Alex just gets nothing, and he needs no energy cards!
And Russell flashes the double, knowing that he could respond, and that is unfortunate for Alex. Drampa was just a little too clunky for him. And Russell takes a quick and clean Game 3.
How about that? Really unfortunate for Alex Smetana, just not drawing the energy cards when he needs him. But congratulations to Russell Parre. It always feels good when you move